Good afternoon, and welcome to True Crime Mysteries. If you're new to the channel, hello and welcome, and if you're returning, welcome back. Today, we are discussing 3 wanted fugitives on the FBI's 10 most wanted list and the crimes that put them there. But first, I'd like to remind you, if you could give this video a like and comment with your thoughts down below, that would be much appreciated as it helps the channel to grow. And if you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and click the red button because I make more content like this, and hit the little bell icon so you get notified when I post. But with that being said, let's get into it.
This man, Eugene Palmer, is the newest addition to the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list for allegedly murdering his daughter-in-law. Palmer allegedly hid in the nearby woods and then ambushed Tammy Palmer moments after she walked her 2 children to the school bus stop.
911, where's your emergency?
I heard a shot, a lot of screaming, another shot, no more screaming, and another shot.
It was September 24th, 2012 in Stony Point, New York, and neighbors were eating their breakfast when they heard several shotgun shots and a woman's scream ring through their trailer park. With the final boom from the shotgun, the screaming ended. Neighbors rushed to both call 911 as well as investigate the source of the attack and discovered 39-year-old Tammy Palmer badly injured in front of her house. The mother of 2 had just walked her children to the bus stop and was returning back when she was ambushed by a gunman who'd been lying in wait in the woods surrounding her home. The shooter was her father-in-law, 73-year-old Eugene Palmer. By the time law enforcement arrived, Palmer was unable to be located, though based on their investigation, they were sure he was the suspect they were looking for. Eugene had confessed to his niece, who lived next door to him, saying, "I couldn't take it anymore. I shot and killed Tammy. Give me an hour to get away, and then do whatever you have to do. Call the police, whatever you have to do." Along with the confession, he left her with a sum of cash to cover the property taxes for the year. Eugene Palmer owned the parcel of land on which several trailer homes and cabins also resided. This included Eugene, his sister and her 2 adult children, his 2 sons, one of whom was John, Tammy's husband, who also lived on the property with their children. Tammy and John were having domestic troubles. The couple had been together for 23 years and married for 17, but they had recently separated. Over the last decade, police had been called 19 times because of violence in their home. On more than one occasion, they had also involved Eugene. Tammy had recently been granted a protective order against John, which had forced him out of the house he lived in with Tammy. Tammy was also in the process of filing for divorce and had made no allusions that she intended on keeping the home on Eugene Palmer's property. This allegedly enraged Eugene. He had allegedly taken to relentlessly harassing Tammy after the protective order was granted. He felt that Tammy was trying to use the government to take advantage of his generosity, and he decided to take matters into his own hands. Instead of dealing with things in court, he took it upon himself to resolve the matter by killing Tammy. The murder had been brutal. Tammy had been shot 3 times, after which Eugene hopped into his truck and headed to a nearby national park, Harriman State Park. The densely wooded 45,000-acre state park was a place familiar to Eugene. As a retired park ranger, he had spent his whole life hunting and camping in the area. His truck was discovered abandoned near the park edge. Sniffer dogs tracked his scent from the truck to a campground, but lost the scent on a roadway within the forest, within the national park.
Palmer disappeared into the woods of Harriman State Park. There was a manhunt at the time, but Palmer was never found. Even though he has health issues, including diabetes, investigators are convinced Palmer is still alive, and today the FBI added him to the 10 most wanted fugitive list.
It has been almost a decade since he was last seen, and though family members believe that Eugene died in the woods not long after the murder, as he had several health conditions that required him to take several medications, the FBI still wants it to be clear that they will not rest until he is located. In a statement they said, "We're never going to be done with it until we find him one way or another, dead or alive." Survivalist professionals have stated that an experienced outdoorsman such as Eugene would have no problem staying out in the woods for as long as he wanted. The FBI, however, are exploring the possibility that Eugene may have been picked up near where the scent dogs lost his scent. They have reason to believe that Eugene may have fled to Florida and may be being assisted in hiding by friends or family members. There is a $100,000 reward for anyone with information that leads to the arrest of the now 82-year-old Eugene Palmer. Tammy's parents, John and Violet Panarello, who were granted custody of their grandchildren, are still hoping that justice will be served for the murder of their daughter.
The FBI is not ruling out the possibility that Eugene Palmer has had help remaining in the shadows, perhaps in upstate New York or in Florida. Now, he can shave his beard, he can change his eyeglasses, but one distinguishing characteristic he cannot change: he has a very obviously deformed left thumb. The FBI is hoping that publicity from his placement on the 10 most wanted list will turn up the heat and help them locate this fugitive, considered armed and dangerous.
Eugene Palmer might be thinking we've given up on finding him, but he'd be wise to think again. This is a good time as any to remind him that the team up here plays by a different set of rules. In our eyes, the victim always comes first, and this team will never give up until justice is served.
The lady that was over there, she was laying under the picnic table and she was shot in her side.
The scene from 15 years ago, a Memorial Day mass shooting at South Shore Park in Bayview, 2006. 2 were murdered, 3 others in the line of fire. 12 News on Scene spoke to witnesses.
There's a man standing over these people by the picnic table, and he was shooting them.
Police say the suspect, Octaviano Juarez-Corro, was apparently upset he wasn't allowed to see his young daughter, ordered several people, including his estranged wife, to their knees, shot 5 of them, then took off. The former wife survived, but Juarez-Corro is still a wanted man, and now the FBI put him on their top 10 most wanted list, offering a $100,000 reward.
Let's go find this guy.
Absolutely.
On February 28, 2021, the FBI made an announcement. A Milwaukee fugitive wanted for murder would be added to the FBI's 10 most wanted list, 47-year-old Octaviano Juarez-Corro. It was Memorial Day on May 29, 2006. Hundreds of people were gathered in the South Shore Park in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, all celebrating the American holiday with barbecues and picnics. One family was enjoying themselves when someone noticed trouble approaching them. Octaviano Juarez-Corro, who was walking up to the family. He wanted to speak to his estranged wife. It was her family who he had dropped in on uninvited. A friend tried to intervene and was trying to get Octaviano to leave without causing a scene, but was unsuccessful. Octaviano and his soon-to-be ex-wife were in the final stages of their divorce, but couldn't agree on a custody arrangement for their 3-year-old daughter. It was this issue that had brought him to the park that day. Octaviano refused to leave the family affair, becoming increasingly agitated, and suddenly produced a handgun. He ordered his ex-wife, her boyfriend, and 3 other members of her family to get on their knees. In front of his daughter, he began firing, wounding 3 and killing 2. His ex-wife survived 2 gunshot wounds to the chest, but her boyfriend had been one of the victims killed along with a family friend. Octaviano then fled on foot. Officers were not able to locate him, and he remains at large to this day. At the time, officers encouraged the public to remain vigilant and said he was to be considered armed and dangerous. Milwaukee police chief told the public, "It's important to get a person such as this, because the propensity for violence is great." Juarez-Corro is described as being 5'7", weighing 180 to 200 pounds, with brown eyes and black hair that may be graying. He is believed to be hiding out in Mexico, though he also has connections in California and he has relatives he may visit in Wisconsin. He is also known to use several aliases, including Octaviano Corro, Octaviano Juarez-Corro, and Octavio Juarez. The FBI has also included an age-progressed photo to reflect what he may look like today. And again, there is a $100,000 reward for any information leading to his arrest.
The FBI thinks Juarez-Corro is hiding in Mexico. This age progression photo is what they think he looks like now at age 47.
We have received ongoing information throughout the years. At this time, we have received more information, but we're asking for people's help in this case because we do know he has family and friends still here in the Milwaukee area.
Milwaukee Police Acting Chief Jeff Norman says naming Juarez-Corro as a top federal fugitive could bring long-awaited justice to the victims and their families.
I was on the homicide unit at the time, so having that burned in your head in regards to the heinous acts that took place that day does give it the level of urgency and importance in regards to having these efforts put forth.
We don't give up. We're not going to stop until we find him.
It was April 12, 2015, when a young couple were working the closing shift at Dunkin' Donuts in Hanover, Maryland together. The couple, 24-year-old Bhadreshkumar Patel and 21-year-old Patel, had been newly married. It had been an arranged marriage in their home country, a small community outside Mumbai, India. Patel had family in the United States, and shortly after their marriage, they decided they would relocate there. They both got 1-month honeymoon visas, which had already elapsed in April. With the couple overstaying their visas, the couple secured jobs at a nearby Dunkin' Donuts despite their expired visas. They would often work the night shifts only together. They had been working just the two of them that evening, and a fight broke out between them. Patel had been on the phone with her mother expressing her desire to go back to India. She went on to say that the arranged marriage was not working and that she missed her family and wanted to come home. Patel was seen on security cameras snatching the phone away from Patel and motioning for her to follow him to the back of the restaurant. Once Patel had followed him to the back, he ended the call with her mother, and out of range of the camera, he brutally stabbed his young bride several times. He then very calmly left the restaurant, leaving her there.
This surveillance video shows newlyweds Bhadreshkumar and Patel for the last time as husband and wife. The newlyweds moved from their native country of India to begin their marriage in the United States, eventually settling in Hanover, Maryland, where they each took jobs at a donut shop. On April 12, 2015, the couple was working side by side on the night shift. Patel was on the phone telling a family member that she wanted to go home to India. The pair's visas had expired. With family still on the line, Patel and Bhadreshkumar walked to a back room where Bhadreshkumar stabbed his wife over and over again. Anne Arundel County Police Detective Kelly Harding.
Patel was young. This scene was very brutal, and she died in a horrible way. That's the kind of person that we're dealing with, that he could murder his wife and then the next minute just calmly walk away.
It had been around 10 p.m. when the murder had taken place. There had been no customers or other employees in the restaurant, but a line had begun to form in the drive-thru. One customer was able to flag down a police officer who had been writing reports in a nearby parking lot and asked them to investigate. The officer thought that there may have been some sort of medical emergency, or perhaps the staff had abandoned their shifts without closing properly. He never expected to walk in on a brutal crime scene. While searching for any sign of staff members, he discovered Patel's body in the back of the restaurant. Police immediately start an investigation. Officers have no idea what had happened, but it was quickly discovered that the other employee on shift, the victim's husband, was missing. Officers get the surveillance footage and were shocked to discover the bold murder was caught on camera. Warrants for an arrest were drawn up for Patel, and officers were able to track his steps after he left Dunkin'. He and his wife had shared an apartment across the street, and it appeared that he'd gone home on foot to pack a bag, grab some things, and then head to a nearby mall where several cab drivers were parked waiting. Police were able to locate the man that had driven the cab that Patel had taken that night, and it was determined that the driver had taken him to a hotel near the Newark airport in New Jersey. The cab driver reported that nothing seemed odd about his interactions with Patel. He described him as very calm and relaxed. He paid cash for his fare and left without any sign that he had just perpetuated a violent murder. Patel had stayed the night at the hotel he'd been dropped off at. He paid cash to stay one night and checked out early the next morning. Using the hotel's shuttle service, he was dropped off at the Newark Penn train station, and from there he disappeared. Once it was confirmed that Patel had crossed state lines, the Maryland police were able to alert the FBI, who immediately made the case a federal investigation. Patel had been placed on a no-fly blacklist, and the FBI is confident that Patel was not able to leave the country with such a high degree of travel restrictions. Patel has family members in Canada, India, New Jersey, Kentucky, Georgia, and Illinois, and it is believed that he is likely being protected by family members. He may be using a false identity to remain in the United States. Bhadreshkumar Patel is wanted for murder and is to be considered armed and dangerous. There is a $100,000 reward for any information that may lead to his arrest.
Investigators hope adding Bhadreshkumar Patel to the FBI's popular 10 Most Wanted Fugitives list will bring in the tip needed to track him down.
I am certain that with the public's help that we will finally bring him back.
Well, that is it for this video. As always, please give this video a thumbs up if you like the content and subscribe for more if you haven't already. Also, don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you get notified when I post. And if you've done all that and want to support me and the channel, we have channel membership as well as Patreon to get early access, members-only content, live streams, and more. We also have merch and other goodies in the description box, as well as links to all my socials. But until then, I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.